Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. On today's show, an engine that screams to 12,000 RPM, a Lamborghini with a little hex appeal, and an off-roader that's 911 turbo fast. I'm Tiffany Stone, and this is Hagerty's Daily Driver. Let's buckle up. First up, when Gordon Murray speaks, we listen. The legendary designer made the McLaren F1, which perhaps is the greatest supercar of all time. And now we are eagerly awaiting the car he's building next, the T.50, which he says will be superior to every supercar on the road. And at the heart of that car will be a high-revving, naturally aspirated V12. And we finally got some details and some video. This 3.9-liter V12 promises to be the highest revving, most power-dense, and lightest naturally aspirated V12 road car engine ever. The T.50's V12 will offer 665 horsepower at an absolutely mental 11,500 RPM. And now the red line, a whopping stratospheric 12,000 RPM. It's like a Honda S2000 that rips. Sure, it won't be the most powerful supercar ever, but with a sub 2,200 pound curb weight, it doesn't need to be. Moving on. What have you been doing during the pandemic? Well, Lamborghini did this. It's the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Xago edition. Now the Xago stands for hexagons, we think, which Lamborghini designers are apparently obsessed with. In particular, Lamborghini's designers were inspired by the hexagonal storm clouds that form at Saturn's North Pole. So, they took the 770 horsepower SVJ and painted a bunch of hexagons on it. The doors have hexagons. The seats have hexagons. The whole car, it kind of looks like hexagons. Now, only 10 will be built and each owner gets to customize it to their liking. Is this ridiculous and unnecessary? Of course it is, but that's what's great about it. If you've got a screaming V12 supercar, there's no real way that you can be subtle. Rather than hide from it, I say embrace it. And finally, speaking of unnecessary and ridiculous things, the normal Ariel Nomad is a lightweight British off-road buggy. It's kind of like a side-by-side for Mario Andretti. The stock Nomad produces a stout 235 horsepower from a Honda engine, which is a lot considering it weighs nothing. But you know what's better than a lot of power? A lot more power. This is the Ariel Nomad R. The stock 2.4-liter Honda 4-banger has been replaced by the unit from the old Civic Type R. Ariel gave that engine a new blower and now produces 335 horsepower. That means this off-roader goes from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.9 seconds. Now imagine having all that speed in a Polaris RZR. Top speed has been limited to just 121 miles per hour. That is low until you consider it's meant to be driven on narrow dirt paths through the woods. The cost is just about $97,000, but they're only making 5. So if you're crazy enough to get one, you better act fast. Coming up, we're talking hypercars with Bugatti CEO Stephan Winkelmann. But first,
here's a camera tip. In order to get a nice steady picture, one that doesn't jiggle or bounce around, remember, it's important your camera be mounted on a solid object specially designed to minimize vibration. Dodge Intrepid, running at, let's say, 85 miles an hour, would be a particularly good choice. Dodge Intrepid. This changes everything.
So Stephan, first you've been the head of Lamborghini, the head of Audi Sport, and now you are the head of Bugatti. How do you keep getting the most exciting jobs?
Well, let's say I feel lucky and blessed, and it's a great honor to work for brands like Lamborghini, also Audi Sport, and finally, Bugatti. I am very, very pleased and honored. And let's say it's lucky combinations. Maybe it's some of the skills in terms of language I had at the beginning for Lamborghini, and now it's the experience I have with, let's say, the super sports car brand or hyper sports car brand. and therefore I think that they choose a profile like mine.
Wow, that's so awesome. I love everything you do. I know that Bugatti has been really expanding the offers with the Divo, the Cento d'Ecce, and now the Pure Sport. What should we be expecting from them very soon?
But now, you know, it was a pity that we hadn't the opportunity to launch the Pure Sport live so far, because Geneva was cancelled at the beginning of the shutdown. And so we did a webinar, and now we're doing static presentations around the dealerships in Europe. And it's going quite well. It will also hit then the American markets or North America. And we have quite an amazing feedback from customers and from people who are approaching the brand for the first time. This is a very handling-oriented car, light and fast, and this is, let's say, the opposite or the other extreme to the Super Sport 300 Plus, which we presented last year, where we were the first ones to break the barrier of the 300 miles per hour. So the 300 Plus is for longitudinal acceleration and top speed, and the other one, so the Pure Sport, is for lateral acceleration, being quick in and out of the corner. So very fun-oriented car.
That's so awesome. I love that the Pure Sport has been undergoing the final testing with everything. It seems like you're so excited. Should we expect any other things coming out very soon besides the Pure Sport? I know there is a possibility of affordable Bugatti. Could you explain a little bit about that to me?
First of all, I have to tell you that the Divo, we are going to have the first deliveries in this month, in the month of July. So this is good news for our customers, for the few who had the opportunity to buy the Divo. The Divo was launched 2 years ago in Pebble Beach, almost 2 years ago, when we presented the car at the world premiere, as a world premiere in Pebble. For a second model, let's say a four-seater, this was the idea, or is the idea, for a second model of Bugatti. We have to wait a bit now because we have to postpone our plans due to the Corona crisis, and it's clear that now we have to focus on the Chiron and the derivatives. And for the second model, we have to wait a bit.
Gotcha. Well, I know typically when car makers develop a car, they try to benchmark against other vehicles. But why is this so unique when we're talking about the Pure Sport? What, if any vehicle, could you benchmark it against, or is that even possible?
But let me tell you, there are a lot of super sports cars out there, but if it's comparable, it's no longer Bugatti. And this, I think, is very true also for the Pure Sport. The Pure Sport, as I explained, is one extreme of, let's say, the performance range of a car like the Chiron, where the Chiron is the center, the perfect match of performance and comfort. Then on the other extreme, we have the Super Sport, and on this part, or the other extreme, we have the Pure Sport, so the handling oriented. And there is no comparison with other car manufacturers, because we start there where the others stop doing their job.
I love that. We start there where others stop. That's such a great thing. I really love that. I know there's going to be a new class at the Le Mans. It's called the hypercar class. And all Bugattis are making hypercars, but why not go racing with a Bugatti?
But our car is very expensive. We don't fit into any, let's say, race series, and to do, let's say, a one-make race series based on the Chiron, even though it's a very fast car, this would, let's say, exceed the budget of a normal racing department, and therefore we are not engaging in something like this.
If you could spec out any Divo, what would you be speccing out for us?
But you know, I like the variety because every car which is leaving our atelier, this is how we call our factory, is unique. We have always a designer which is helping our customers to configure the car, so you have an incredible variety of choices. I personally more for the non-colors, so I like white, I like gray, I like matte, and I like the matte colors. And for the interior, I like brown or I like black. So one of these combinations. So I've not made up my mind so far, but for a Bugatti, but it would go into this direction.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much, Stephan, for coming here, talking to us. I do have one more question for you. What is a piece of advice that you'd give to anybody that kind of wants to be in your position? Obviously, we started out our conversation saying that you have one of the coolest jobs and have had cool jobs. If somebody wanted to be right where you're at the head of Bugatti, how could they get there?
I have to say, I don't know. It's a mixture of luck, being at the right place at the right time. But what I can tell you, you have to, if you start working in the car business, you have to be an expert in one of the functions, in one of the jobs you can do in the car business. And out of this job, then you can be more general. Then you can become, let's say, a leader also for different functions and have an approach with it, which has to be 360 degrees clear, and you cannot be an expert in everything. But at least you have to excel in one of these type of functions and then to lead. Today, most of the CEOs or presidents of car companies are engineers. It is more and more software and, let's say, battery oriented. So you have to, if you're very young, you have to think if this should not be the right direction, because the future is going clearly into electrification and digitalization.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Stephan. I loved all your answers. Thank you for some of the great information and, of course, that little piece of advice for the future.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for today, and I hope you guys learned some great things from Stephan. I'll be back tomorrow with more car news, but until then, keep driving.